officially initiating the launching of our fire test laboratory blog, which we've been thinking about for quite some time. The main idea of the blog is to engage with the prominent industry stakeholders, discuss news, problems, issues, and understand what's important and interesting for you guys, for our audience, and try to answer your questions. So we were lucky enough to have Matthew Wright, Business Development Manager of UL Australasia, here today as our first guest. And throughout his professional career, Matt has been trying to improve safety for the built environment. And currently, he's trying to restore the confidence in building materials in Australia and in New Zealand. So throughout his career, he held the positions in government. He was working in a private building approval organizations. He worked as a member of fire brigade and a national pig industry member, as well as serving as a member of statutory appeals tribunal by ministerial appointment, where he provided a great and broad exposure to the industry practices and expectations. And surely Matt is the main person, the main driver of ULU Mark certification scheme. And that's what we're going to be talking about to Matt today. So Matt, thank you for joining us today.
No problem, Anna. Great to be with you, and thanks for the opportunity.
Perfect, thank you. And the first question for Matt. So Matt, the question is about your LinkedIn account. I've noted that you have this line next to your photo, which says, helping restore product confidence. What is the reason you have it? Why it's so important to you? Could you please elaborate on that?
Yeah, look, I think confidence is a word that's been used quite a lot in this region and others around the world at the moment. But for me, safety in the built environment relies on a number of factors. And I think the viewers of this would be quite familiar with the fire triangle and the need for heat, oxygen, and fuel to create fire. Well, safety comes with a similar triangle for me. So I've been involved in developing and applying requirements for construction and design, so the rules, if you like, as well as the practitioner competencies. So that's two components, but I realised that unless we have the third component, which is product conformity, then we really don't have the triangle for safety and actually being able to achieve that for the community. So I guess confidence in the built environment often begins with safety, or quality, or compliance for the consumer. And there's been some questions or doubts about that in our region and others, and some high profile cases have drawn attention to that. But when these aspects are questionable, it exposes the community and end users, but also discourages investment. And I think we spend a lot of time in safety talking about life safety practices, but I've realised recently that those confidence in a lack of life safety or quality also reduces appetite for insurers, can impact jobs, can overall impact economic growth. So for the construction industry to continue to support such a large proportion of the economy, both in Australia and New Zealand, it's important that we have safe buildings and that there is confidence in those, and we need to restore that. So my interest in product conformity is to fill that last part of the safety triangle, if you like.
Perfect, thank you. So this project of yours, ULU Mark certification scheme, if this is something that will really help to restore that confidence in building products in Australia and New Zealand?
Yeah, I think so, because we have an interesting approach that, or a cultural behavioural approach that is different to other regions of the world. And I guess the shortfalls that we've had in either product failures or incidents have drawn attention to how that could be improved. So the ULU Mark scheme is a specific solution for Australia and New Zealand. It incorporates product evaluation, testing, but also ongoing production surveillance to empower trust. So we're quite used to having test reports for products in this part of the world, especially in the fire safety space and the building industry broadly. But they're a point-in-time test on a specific sample. So it can give you confidence in that test and how it was conducted and whether the product passed or failed. But what the confidence that we really need to get is the ongoing production of that product will that meet the same conformity benchmarks, and will the product that lands on site be the one that's going to perform as expected? So production surveillance conducted at all the manufacturing locations for a product, and you can imagine in the supply chain for some products there's multiple locations where that occurs. It enables the suppliers to mitigate their compliance risk and liability, but also provides confidence to the regulatory authorities and other approval bodies that products will continue to conform as the nominated standards require beyond that single point in time test. So doing evaluation testing and complementing this with production surveillance really reflects the broad components of UL's certification schemes that operate globally. What's critical here, though, is that we've been able to tune that to a reference to local regulatory and market requirements. So ULU Mark is what that represents, and we've been independently accredited by the Joint Accreditation System of Australia and New Zealand, JASANS, to deliver the scheme, and as a result it represents really a leading path to market, both Australia and New Zealand, to give confidence in product conformity.
Perfect. As I am talking on behalf of ITS Laboratory, could you please elaborate on the role of our laboratory in the whole scheme of ULU Mark?
Yeah, it'd be a pleasure to. So product evaluation testing is, as I've just mentioned, a key component of the overall certification process, and it really underpins the conformity assessment leading to a certification decision. What our agreement with FIRE-TS Laboratory does is recognise FIRE-TS Laboratory's capability and competency to undertake this component in relation to passive fire protection product categories that are part of the ULU Mark scheme. And under our data acceptance agreement, where UL's been involved in the development of a test plan, so we would do that collectively with the potential customer and FIRE-TS Lab, and FIRE-TS Lab executes that test plan and generates evaluation data. That data would be accepted by UL to achieve certification under the ULU Mark. So FIRE-TS Labs really presents an opportunity for customers to go and have their testing conducted, especially on passive products that the specimen size is sometimes large and is difficult to ship to other places in the world. Rely on that capability and competency that FIRE-TS Labs can demonstrate, and to end up getting a certification that restores that confidence and empowers trust, as we've been talking about in this blog.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I think that's it. We can finalize our get together. Thank you once again for joining us today, and I hope to see you soon here in New Zealand.
Looking forward to it. Thanks very much, Anna.
Thank you.